Hey everyone, it's Lucy from KBeautyHobbit.com. Today let's talk about some of the best products to use if you are incorporating Tretinoin or Adapalene, commonly sold under the brand names of Differin and La Roche-Posay in the United States, in your skincare routine. I personally started with Adapalene because I just wanted to see how it works. For me, without having to go get a prescription. In the United States, this is available without a prescription. And fun fact, it is FSA eligible. So it's something to keep in mind. I chose personally La Roche-Posay because it is much cheaper per ounce than Differin. But that probably depends on where you're buying it from as well. I do have a video on how to incorporate Adapalene into your K-beauty skincare routine without having to give up all the steps. And then once my skin got used to Adapalene and I figured out that okay, this does seem to be working for me, it was coincidentally time for my annual physical, and I asked my doctor for a Tretinoin prescription, which she gave me without having to go to a dermatologist, which is amazing. So now I use this 0.05% Tretinoin gel, and again, this is by prescription only in the United States. That does vary from country to country, but here it is prescription only, and thankfully my insurance actually covers it, which is awesome. If you're watching this video, I am going to make an assumption that you already know the basics of Tretinoin use or Adapalene use, and I don't need to go over those, but just a very quick recap. These are well-studied anti-aging, pigmentation, wrinkle prevention, and reduction of depth and number of wrinkles products, and then Adapalene is more specifically targeted toward acne, while Tretinoin is more specifically targeted toward anti-aging, but some of their benefits overlap. It is something that you need to introduce slowly, and you can go through a period called retinization where you might get some purging and some peeling and dryness. So it's important to introduce things slowly, maybe a couple times a week at first, or even one time a week, and then increase the frequency. I am up to about every other day right now with Tretinoin. However, sometimes that backfires for me a little bit and I start to get a little peeling and then I back off. So it's between every other day and like every 2-3 days for me right now. The products I look for while going through this retinization stage and then even afterwards are things that are gentle, nourishing, and can help with combating dryness. These are in no particular order, just grab them off my shelf. These are my current favorites. Number one is the Dr. Ceuracle Kombucha Essence. It's probably something, if you're in the skincare world, that you already heard of. It has like two parts to it, a watery part and a more creamy part. You shake the bottle to combine them. It's just a very nice, nourishing, but not heavy product that can really help with that dryness. The very basic advice on how to reduce the dryness that can come with Tretinoin or Adapalene is to use the buffer method, where you basically do your entire skincare routine with no exfoliation, no acids, and then finish it with a thin layer of some sort of moisturizer, let everything dry, and then put Tretinoin or Adapalene on once your skin is dry, and that can really help. So I sometimes will do this as the first post-cleanse step. Do that and then a couple other steps, let everything dry, and do my Tretinoin. A similar product, just a slightly different vehicle, is this Papa Recipe Noble Rot Lifting Ampoule. It also has two different components to it. It's much harder to see in this bottle because the bottle itself is colored in this two-toned way, but you also shake this and apply it. A very, very similar feeling of just having some nourishment, but without having a thick occlusive layer on your skin. And it's not like all of these products need to be used in the same routine. I just kind of see what my skin is feeling like and what I personally feel like that night. These are just suggestions that in general have been working well for me. So I don't feel like you have to go run out, buy all of the stuff and start slathering all of that on your face before you use Tretinoin. That is not the case. My skin is combination with some oily zones and some dry to normal zones, and then Tret can make sort of everything dry. I've been really liking these two newer launches by PURITO. I use this one, which is the PURITO Dermide Relief Barrier Moisturizer. It's a lighter formula. I use that one on Tret nights, so I would finish my routine with this as my moisturizer, let it sink in, let it dry, and then use Tretinoin. And then I reach for the PURITO Dermide Balancing Barrier Balm, this one, on the nights in between Tret, especially if my skin is feeling really dry and flaky. The reason I don't use this on Tretinoin night, like right before it, is because sometimes if you put on too much of an occlusive layer, before tread, it can actually compromise the effectiveness of the tread, or at least that's what I've been reading and tretinoin specific groups. So I reserve this for those nights in between to kind of get my skin back to its best shape before I go back to tread. Your individual tolerance for tretinoin will vary vastly from person to person. For me, I get a little dryness here, and sometimes, especially at first when I started, especially with Adapalene, for some reason I was getting a little burning redness here. So for that, I like to use an occlusive balm before I put tread on to sort of protect those areas. Another one is here under the nose. I'm using Kahi balm right now for no reason other than just I have it. This is not something I would run out and buy. It's very expensive and mostly useless. CeraVe healing ointment or Vaseline work just as well for basically targeted slugging before you put tread on. So if you have sensitive eye area, you could put this after your moisturizer, but before tretinoin, like around the eyes. You can put it here on the bottom of the nose because that's another area where it could get irritated. You can put it in the corners of the mouth, or basically anywhere that you don't want tread to go. You'd put something like this on first. But again, CeraVe healing ointment is just as good at a fraction of the cost, and you can use that one on the lips. This one is advertised as being okay for the lips, but it tastes disgusting. That flavor seeps into the lips even if you don't lick them. So to me, this smells really good, but that's about like the end of its benefits. It's very successfully marketed, and I think that's why all the hype is there, because it's in all the K-dramas. But as a standalone product that is almost $40, no, I would not recommend you buy that. Get CeraVe, it's way better, or use chapstick even, or something like that. I don't know. I'd probably go for something fragrance-free, actually, if you have sensitive skin and dryness and stuff, but my skin does okay with this. For cleansing, most of the time, double cleansing is just fine for my skin, but if I get overly ambitious with my tread use, or if I get too much sun, or if I tested something that just is not sitting well with my skin, then sometimes less is better. So I like to have a good one-step cleanser where I'm not double cleansing my face and not touching it that extra time, not exposing it to cleansers more than necessary. But again, it needs to be very gentle and effective if it's going to be a one-step cleanser. I don't want a one-step cleanser that's going to leave behind sunscreen. That's not the point here. It needs to be as good as a double cleanse, just in one step. So I have two options here. Option number one I've been using for a long time. It's actually something that my daughter uses now. She's 8. Because it takes off sunscreen and everything else in one step, she doesn't want to double cleanse, which is fine. You know, she's still she closes her eyes super tight when there's water around them. She's still afraid to get anything in her eyes. Even though she does her face washing herself, she's still just sort of hesitant about water around the eyes and things. So she doesn't want to do it twice. This is the Access Y Quinoa One-Step Balancing Cleanser. Mine looks like this. This is my second bottle. But I swear I saw somebody post it now that it has more like a traditional pump bottle. This has a little pump, and then it had an outer white, like clear cap around it that my children lost already. But I think now it comes more like a traditional pump without a cap. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure the formula is the same. And another cleanser, this was in one of my recent fails and faves videos, is Isntree Yam Root Vegan Milk Cleanser. It looks like this. It has a thin consistency, almost like a lotion. It looks exactly like a lotion actually. When you pump it out, it's white, slippery in a good way, very, very gentle. For me, it doesn't irritate the eyes or anything really, and it still rinses off cleanly. The Access Y that I showed first does foam when you use this. When you use it, this one doesn't even foam. So I would venture to say that this one might be even more gentle than the Access Y, but my skin isn't particularly sensitive, so I'm probably not the best judge of that. Both of those work really well for me, but because my child uses the Access Y, mostly I'm using this one. So those are some products that I really enjoy and that work for me. Again, you don't have to go get those exact ones. Basically just anything very gentle, soothing, nourishing, preferably fragrance-free if your skin is sensitive. If not, fragrance is okay. My skin does okay with fragrance. Sometimes though, if I compromise my skin barrier, everything stings no matter what it is. So, you know, just be careful with the frequency of your tread use, especially if you're new. And then some general advice is while you're using tretinoin, you want to avoid acids, except for hyaluronic acid. That's not really an exfoliating acid, but you want to avoid actives like exfoliating acid, BHA, and those things, and even physical exfoliation and eyebrow waxing, because that can tear at your skin. Threading is okay, tweezing is okay, shaving is okay, but waxing tends to give people problems. And as far as exfoliation goes and acids and things, some people successfully use all of that in their routine and use tretinoin or adapalene and they're fine, but until your skin is very much used to your preferred retinoid, you don't want to introduce other things and potentially compromise your skin barrier. And then also don't use other retinols. I use other retinols, like the retinols that are in creams and commercially available products, not by prescription, on my neck and chest because they're much gentler. And then if I am going to test another retinol product, which are becoming more popular in Korean skincare now, probably because of consumer demand, then I just stop my and I don't use it. That's all I have for you on this topic. If you have your own tretinoin or adapalene tips and tricks, please leave them in the comments. I am by no means an expert. I'm just very passionate about skincare. I love testing things. I love learning new things. I love talking about it. But if you have need of medical advice, of course, see a professional. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me on Instagram at KBeautyHobbit, in my blog, KBeautyHobbit.com, my private Facebook group, Korean Beauty Fanatics, and of course here on YouTube. I will see you in my next video, and until then, please remember to always listen to your skin. Thank you so much. Bye.